Welcome to the TrueSight and BHOM migration webinar. I'm Michael Ashall, a Director of the Solution Engineering Architect Leads, also known as the SEAL team. We are a specialised business unit within BMC. As engineering-minded subject matter experts and architects, we are trusted champions to our customers. We empower them with knowledge as example best practices, and also additionally we are trailblazers by motivated by building tools like you'll see today. So let's move on to the agenda. So as you'll see today, we have a number of items to go through. We are on this particular webinar, we are only focused with the TrueSight migration. But for reference, we are working with product management, R&D, and within the SEAL team, looking at best practices around CMDB, also around service impact management, which a lot of customers have used previously, and we are looking to put together best practices of how we will migrate customers into the new DSM model within BMC Helix. So let's talk a little bit about Helix. Okay. As an enterprise digital transformation journey, IT leaders still face a number of challenges, reducing support costs, improving reliability and increasing employer productivity, and supporting the business goals as IT evolves. Multi-cloud, multi-device, IoT, multiple channels, DevOps, big data have created very complex IT landscapes. So scaling this new technology has become a problem, and obviously within that the idea of how we manipulate and take that data and use that data for the benefit of IT has become very, very complicated. And as you'll see in the Helix journey, we have built a number of fantastic products to help our customers achieve success within this complex environment. So on the challenges, the delivering of the transformational journey, it's as I've just mentioned, the problem we have is an explosion of data. There's so much data out there today. What do you do with it? In the legacy or traditional way working of IT, the challenges were very, very difficult to deal with, and generally they've worked in silos. But there's also a gap of working in hybrid work models. Some items of IT sit within the cloud, some in private cloud. Still, some sit on the traditional, VMware as examples. But it's very complicated, and the challenges have grown and continue to grow daily. But we need to do something about that, and with that, we've within the BMC portfolio, we've built a fantastic set of tools known as Helix. And today we're only really focusing on one small element of that, but I do emphasize that you should reach out to your account manager or even ask for a request for a trial of the product. But we need to empower our customers' productivity, manage the evolving IT risks, IT tasks, etc. And basically we need to collaborate against the budget boundaries that are out there today. So budget is very key element of businesses, and we need to manage that, because obviously within IT these costs can accelerate to a point where things just get out of control. So managing the costs and the boundaries is very, very important. Now, if you look at this in a slightly different way, the digital enterprise on the left-hand side is a span of array of technologies. As I said, traditionally, you might have networks, you'll have cloud, private cloud, public cloud. You'll have very much an array of technology out there within digital services. And on the right-hand side today, we've moved into the world of DevOps. DevOps is, the ability to be very agile, embracing technology and being able to innovate very, very quickly and get that out to our customers. And you'll see that within Helix. We are within Helix SaaS, as an example, we're releasing products in approximately every 4 weeks, as we're innovating and bringing on new features to our customers on the demand. And as you can see in the middle, we have customers, innovation can be hindered by these very, very complex. So how do we deal with that? Well, you'll see this transformational IT wording called service ops. It's a unification of services and operation management, leveraging AI. AI, as you know, within today in the news, there's a lot of information going out regarding AI and ChatGPT as example, and you'll see this going as we go forward within BMC as we evolve and build new products. to market. But how is all this dealt with? Well, it's dealt with BMC Helix. But I'm only going to focus today on specific areas, and really this just sets the scene. Okay. So let me just talk about what is service ops from a BMC perspective. It's an AI-driven converged platform of ITSM and ITOM. So as you'll see at the bottom, you see this Helix BMC Helix portal. Now, traditionally, as you will be familiar, that BMC had a number of products out in their portfolio, but they were all installed separately. They all had different databases that you could interlink them, you could integrate them, but essentially there was data, copies of data within the products as we deployed them. So as you'll see at the bottom, we have this Helix platform, also referred to as ADE, also referred to as Common Services, but it's a portal platform which essentially hosts and maintains all the data within your organization. And the service management and service operations sits on top of it. But what happens is that it actually consumes, so service management and service operations, or operations management, should I say, consumes the Helix portal, all the data which lives in it. There's no longer copies of data for service management and operations management. It's all consuming the same data. Now, if we just look at this in a slightly more granular way, you'll see at the bottom again, you'll see the Helix portal. You've got your dashboards, your Grafana dashboards, your integration services, which are very key in what we've done because we've got very much an open APIs. We've got open integrations, and it's all sitting at the bottom. And again, I emphasize this is how it looks within a SaaS environment, and it's the same product within on-prem. We do not have two different products. It's one product which we can host in SaaS, as we just mentioned, and on-prem. But you can see at the top is the AISM, the AIOPs. A lot of what we do, you'll see this mentioned time and time again. But at the top, you'll see dynamic service model, incident problem, monitoring root cause, continuous optimization, etc. But these are all modular, and you can install 1, 2, or 3, whatever there are, but they will actually all consume the same Helix platform. Okay, which is very key because if today you buy ITSM, and in the future you may decide to go to operations management, or you may go to optimization as an example. We still just install that product, and it then plugs into the data which already is there. So it's a very, very important feature of what we've done within BMC. Okay, so let's just move on to service ops. Okay, or operations management. So operations management, there's a lot of companies out there today, BMC included, where you've got your monitoring solution. What it does is obviously, looks after the networks, the databases, the applications, everything. It's all monitored and monitored by BMC Helix, or it could be monitored by TrueSight, or it could be monitored by other third party. But the good thing about what I've just showed you is that on the right hand side you'll see exactly the same portal. So you have the AI, machine learning, the ML in the middle, and then you've got your open integrations, your portal, your common services, open API. So it's not only that you can move TrueSight into Helix Operations Management, you can actually also take in other third party, which has always been traditionally a very complicated piece of work that you'd have to do to integrate other third party products into TrueSight as example. It could be done, but it wasn't as easy as it is today. Okay, so let's just look at the AIOPs use cases. And the important, again, on the left-hand side, these are just examples of what we've built within the AIOPs. So you'll see BHOM and AIOPs. So you can have, an environment which consumes data from, TrueSight can actually be plugged into AIOPs as an example, as a data source. But you'll see on the left-hand side, you've got dynamic service modeling, topology reconciliation, event noise reduction, a big use case as we go forward. Root cause isolation and persona-based dashboards, which is again you'll see that on the right-hand side, the platform hasn't changed. We're still utilizing the same platform, but actually we've now added in an additional feature called AIOPs. It's a very, very pluggable architecture, and on the left-hand side is really where a lot of customers are focusing their business now due to complexity of their IT organizations. So let's talk about planning your migration. A successful outcome really is by careful planning and looking at the existing implementation. And if you it is so important, we've seen with customers and our own services organization, just to step through this migration. And I'll just talk about the areas of which we've built as on the next slide. So these are the core areas, and it looks slightly complicated, and I will break these down as we go forward. But our goal as an organisation within the SEAL team on the left-hand side was to put together an effortless migration. So if customers want to move from a TrueSight or any other products, because we have built tools for other portfolio products as well, but we're focusing on operations management today. These tools must leverage existing customers' investment. So this is not a rip and replace. We know that customers over the years have spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and they like what they've got. So how can we utilize that? And we can automate it as well, and very easy to use. And then on the right hand side, we are migrating with operational excellences. With the tooling you'll see is based around what we can migrate, what we can leverage as we go forward. The existing BHOM configurations can be migrated as well. We can move from one BHOM environment to another BHOM environment as an example, and we can accelerate the journey into AIOPs. So as we move into the actual webinar in a bit more detail, we'll look at the planning the migration. We're looking at how you evaluate your current environment. We will then look at migration of monitoring policies, monitoring configurations, your blackouts, your KMs, etc. How do I move that all that configuration data? We'll look at event management, which is a new tool we've developed, and we'll then look at the intelligent integration, which is a new integration, but you can use it for traditional structured data or unstructured data. It's basically a real nice feature which is built into the product, which helps integrate products, other third-party products into the platform. And then you have intelligent automation. Intelligent automation is obviously the outbound. It's all about actionable decision making of what happens. Okay. So, and then it's really we're all delivering this in partnership. A lot of the technology you'll see as you move into this change with BMC Helix and other companies as well is all around containerization. It may be Kubernetes based on OpenShift. It might be Azure. There might be Google Cloud. It could be OCI as an example. But there's a lot of technologies out there. But all our products sit on the back end on cloud or on-prem, but they use Kubernetes containerization. So let's look at it. Let's look at the planning for success. So in the days we have a reference architecture built around three particular high-level topics. One is day zero, which is the plan and prepare. As I said earlier, it's about making sure you plan and prepare your environment accordingly. And each of these bullet points below are around how do I assess it. We have a Helix, we have a TrueSight health check tool. We have the ability to validate the on-prem deployment should you be using that capability, and then we move into the build and validate. So the build and validate is really is split into two. So it was originally built for two reasons. One was to help customers understand the reference architecture of an on-prem deployment, but it can be utilized for customers who want to know a bit more about how the product behaves even in a SaaS environment. But it also has functional use cases. So if you're going to look and you're not quite sure what you're going to do and how you're going to deploy, have a look at these functional use cases. And then in day two is the consumer and operate. So this is really a good document to help you look at some of the example use cases, and there are many more as mentioned on the previous slide, But it's all about let me understand, how does automated event analytics work? How does service visibility work? How do I basically build dashboards for BHOM and AIOPs? And we also, how does root cause isolation work? Okay. And these documents, these day 0, day 1, day 2, we have them for optimization. We have them for ITSM as well. Okay, but it's a key point as you go through. Just plan and prepare, build and validate, and consume and operate. Okay. So let's look at a bit more in the way I always recommend customers to work on. So define what the data. What is the data you want to bring into the platform? This data can actually still be TrueSight. You can still ingest TrueSight information into the BHOM and AIOps platform and take advantage of the AI capabilities. So you can bring in metric performance data, you can bring event management data, you can bring in log data and others as example, App Dynamics, SCOM. There's a list which we'll come on to later. But plan what is the data you've got out there. Some of that data is already being monitored by another tool, but you can still integrate it into Helix and actually take advantage of it. And then on the right-hand side, you're looking at the use case deliverables. What is the outcome base? I'm trying to outcome some use cases. I want to reduce the amount of noise I get in the network operation system, or in the environment which is causing us too many war rooms, as example. But also we want to look at real-time incident correlation, probable cause analysis. Over the years, probable cause analysis has been a big topic, but we have new features and capabilities within the product. And again, you'll see dynamic service management, proactive problem management, intelligent automation. But decide, these are just some examples of use cases, but we can help you build them use cases with some examples of, as I've said previously, around the day 2 a reference architecture document. Now in the middle is the architecture. And this is split into two, really. One is that it doesn't matter if you're going to go SaaS. You're still going to ingest data, new and existing data. You still got use cases to deliver. But the architecture really can be, as I've said previously, can be SaaS or on-prem. A lot of our customers are moving to SaaS because it's easy. They don't have the expertise in Kubernetes, as an example, or they have no container platform. But you can still drive the value from your organization. And then the successful delivery is is the important thing, is when you're going to move out of moving into delivering the use cases, which is shown above. Okay, so let's look at the plan and prepare. And the plan and prepare is in a bit more detail. Is just to help evaluate your environment. So for those customers with large TrueSight environments, and even small environments, should I say, it's very difficult to understand, well, what has been deployed. So within the SEAL team, we built an initiative to add in a feature to the existing TrueSight health check tool. So for those who are familiar with TrueSight, this tool is widely used now. It was built originally by Platinum Engineering, as we were then, but it's now part of the TrueSight portfolio and is used by support daily. But we built in a feature which is Helix Evaluate. And the good thing about this is you only have to run it on one environment, the TrueSight presentation server. We also built assessment questionnaires, because when you're deciding which way to go, whether that's SaaS or on-prem, you're looking at the deployment, the targeted deliverables. We've built FAQs. We've got links to documents in all of this information to go forward. And then for on-prem, we have a specialized checklist, and we also have a new Helix health check tool, which was built by the same person who built the original TrueSight tool, and so it's a very capable capability we've built to help our customers validate their their new environment on-prem, as an example. So even if you're, as I've said, even if you're on SaaS or you're going on-prem, you still should be looking at understanding what is currently deployed. So as I mentioned just on the previous slide, you run this on the TSPS. On the right hand side, what this tool now does, it goes out and connects to all your TrueSite impact management servers and takes the data from them and the information from the TrueSite presentation server and brings it all together. It's a very, very good tool, and it helps you even if you're not migrating BHOM to BHOM today. You may decide not to do it just today. It still gives you a real overview of what's going on in your environment, because obviously, you know, the environment could have been built over time. That person or persons have left, and you've inherited it. It's a very capable tool of running it. It's non-impacting. You can run it, as I say, on production environment, or you can run it on your pre-production environment, and it really does give you a lot of data. Okay, so let me just look at this a bit more detail. So you can see in here, this is quite a comprehensive slide, but I wanted to show it really because I wanted to show you the capabilities of what it brings out. So we go out and we can understand exactly what is, you know, what have you got, how many TrueSite impact management servers you've got, are you running the APM, have you got reporting. This all helps you understand what is out there today. We also have an ability to pull out all of the patrol agent versions. There's a minimum version you need to go to if you're going to migrate, and today you'll be able to say, oh, you know, 50% of my environment is already BHOM capable, and we need to upgrade another 50%. But the good thing about the patrol agents, they support TrueSite and they support BHOM. Okay, and we also list all the KMs which are in use. We look at if you're using remote monitoring, and as you can see in here, you know, we pull out, we understand if the environment is CMA managed as examples. And then on the right hand side, just to get a bit more granularity, we can see that the KMs which are used. So some of the KMs have been upgraded for Helix, and you may have to upgrade some of the KMs out there, but you'll be able to see which KMs you've got deployed. Are they supported within Helix, and if they need to be upgraded, you can take that action before you start the process. As I said, the patrol agents and the KMs are all compatible with each other, with TrueSite and BHOM. And then if we just look at this next slide, just as for those who are familiar with the cells, with the event management, we list out all the cells within the environment. It's, you know, you can then see, okay, I know how many cells I've got to think about migrating. I know what I'm currently being used, and also we pull out the performance of the environment. I must stress that the performance of the environment is taken at the presentation layer, but obviously as you're thinking about taking out and moving to Helix, then some of the volumes should be the same, and also they should be, you know, more granular to help you get to your root cause isolation with situations as an example. Okay. So as we just look at this in a bit, just as a plan and prepare, this is the document. So the document gives you a good flow chart of exactly where you're going to start. If you go, and we start on the left hand side, and then we've got a comprehensive list of questions to help you evaluate your environment. We've got it for optimize as well, and we've got some really good tips on knowledge articles and FAQs and blogs which are out there today. So, and we have the link to the health check tool. So all of this information you're seeing today currently sits within documentation created by the SEAL team, which is the reference architecture. So what we've done is we're working closely with the with IDD, our documentation team, and all of this information is going to go into the official documentation and be available externally in the coming months. But for now, if you need to get this information, then please contact the SEAL team, and we'll help you. We'll provide this to you. Okay. So let's look at plan and prepare of an on-prem environment. So it is very difficult to understand have you validated the environment correctly. So what we did is we built this checklist. So as an example, this is a good example where the NTP of the environment needs to be synced across it, because if it's not, we've seen failures. So what we did is we said, okay, here's the description of the problem, here's where it's documented, and here's the expected outcome. Okay, and we've done this in all of these situations. So it's only used for on-prem, but it will help you when you're building your Kubernetes environment, your Harbor, or your DTR, etc. You'll be able to use this to help you. And if we just look at the Helix health check tool, the good thing about the Helix health check tool, it's basically supports. If you remember what I said earlier, that you've got the Helix portal or common services or the ADE platform, as some people refer it to. But you can see in here that on the left hand side, we have an ability to health check an environment for ITOM, which is BHOM, AIOPs, and BHCO. And on the right-hand side, we have it for ITSM as well. So again, it's multifunctional. The ITSM works within Jenkins, so it helps our customers validate the Jenkins pipeline as they go into a deployment. And then on this particular slide, I just documented this just as a reference, and just to show you some of the validations we do for the Helix Health Check tool. This will continue to be evolved as we go forward, but it does give you a real understanding of what of the tests which we're doing. And again, all this is documented for you. So let me talk about the event migration utility. This is a big step for BMC. We had to build a tool which analysed thousands of lines of code which have been built over the years using the MRL language, and we wanted an ability to migrate that into BHOM where possible. So what did we do? So we built in the SEAL team a tool to start evaluating customers' knowledge bases or the MRL code. We built that, and then what happened is it was built on Java. It was developed, and then we wanted to say, okay, we have analysed all this data, but also we want to migrate it. So we worked with the R&D organisation to hand it over, and it becomes a pure R&D tool now. So again, the SEAL team, we created these tooling, and now we're working with R&D to help them utilize and build additional features into it as customers get familiar with it. So it can analyze, it can migrate. You can install it on your laptop. Don't have to have it on an environment. You can run it today. You can evaluate it. It can automate and migrate, refine, new, and execute rules. As you can see below, these are the policies which are supported. We are releasing this in a controlled manner because it's such a big step for our customers and ourselves in this, because this is probably one of the most complicated migrations tools that we've had to build. We're building it and we're working with R&D, but it's on communities. It's fully documented in the BMC documentation, and these links will take you to it. But if we look in this in a bit more in the UI terms, you'll see you have a simulation. You have a suggested to resolve any migration issues. So these are migration issues where a piece of code needs to be modified before you would migrate it, or it may not need a modification, but you can still migrate it very easily with one click, as an example. But we've built into the tool the ability to analyze and look at the effort which it'll take to migrate into BHOM. And as you can see on the bottom, we have this one-click detail report which basically goes through all the lines of the thousands and thousands of lines of code you've written, and will help you establish what you can migrate. And we did conduct a previous webinar on this, as you can see in the orange. There's a link in this PowerPoint, and this was a recording done by the SEAL team, and you'll see the more detail about how this tool works. So I would suggest, if you're looking for more information around the event management utility, then please refer to the webinar, the slides, and the software location and the manual, which is available to you. So let's look at the migration policies. So this again is a complicated. It can be even more complicated, which I'll come on to shortly, where customers may have never migrated to the CMA in TrueSight and are actually still having agents configured via PCM or for those who are familiar, are the CFG files. But if we look at this in detail, this tool was developed by the SEAL team, um, in conjunction with support, in conjunction with R&D services, and also our customers as well. So we wanted an easy click to be able to migrate CMA policies to BHOM policies. We have the ability to analyze it. We have the ability to look at the agent thresholds as an example, and if required, is create the blackout policies and move them into BHOM blackout policies. So it's a very powerful tool. It can export it. It can import information, and you can do promotion between BHOM tenants as example. So as you're going through your Helix journey, you'll be able to take configurations from your non-production to production. So again, the availability of this tool is on communities and is available to you by clicking this URL in the PowerPoint. Now, on the next slide, as I mentioned just before, this actually we still have customers who are using Patrol pconfig rules, or the CFG rules, which are either managed by pconfig or PCM, Patrol Configuration Manager. The migration tool we've had to build is two steps. One is we have to convert the CFG files, the Patrol configuration files, and we have to convert them into TrueSight CMA policies. Once we've done that, we can then run the previous tool. So you can see it's a bit more complicated. It is possible, and what we found is does require input from BMC services and also the SEAL team in some cases, not in all cases. But if you start to struggle with how to do this, then reach out to the experts, and we're here to help. But it is as you can see, we're converting all of the pconfigs into CMA, and then from CMA over into BHOM. Now, it's important again to note, you'll see this tooling requires no TrueSight environment. You can do this offline. You can sort of start planning and doing it in a staged manner, and you do not need a TrueSight environment to go to this to use this migration tooling. So let's look at the agent migration. So what we found was that customers were looking, saying, "Oh, look, we've got hundreds, even in cases we've got 5,000, 10,000 patrol agents, but we wanted an ability to be able to move agents from TrueSight into BHOM very quickly. We wanted to do in a way to manage the proxy. So if customers are using a forward proxy, they need to update the forward proxy password. So we built again a tool to go out and list all the patrol agents which are connected into TrueSight. We export that, and then we utilize that file to then decide which agents we would like to migrate, and then so we can then move them with a one click into BHOM very, very easily. So you don't have to individually touch your patrol agents. The agents need to be on the correct versions, but it's also be able to manage these patrol agents. And it does have a reporting feature, and again we've got this on the communities. Very, very powerful tool, and you'll use this as you do your TrueSight to BHOM migration. So just as a reference, we did build an administration tool. We are in conjunction working with R&D as some of these features now have become available in the product. But I wanted to show you this today is to say, it's very a useful tool because it also offers some testing connectivity. So if you're struggling to understand how to, am I communicating with my BHOM tenant? You have the ability to use this tool. It generates agent reports, what is connected to my BHOM, device reports, what's connected. All this information is put out to a CSV file. The solutions which are being used, as an example, the KMs, the solution versions are all pumped out into a file. And you can update the default agent account and passwords using regex. Very, very powerful tool. And again, we can update the forward proxy. So all our customers who are moving into SaaS will be using a forward proxy. That's the recommended connectivity from a customer's environment. Use a forward proxy. But again, if the passwords change on that forward proxy, your IT department change that forward proxy, you need a quick way of updating the patrol agents to communicate correctly. And we have a tool for that. So let's move on to the integrations. The integrations is very, very key to what we're doing in BMC. So for those who are familiar with what's happened, we acquired a company called Streamweaver. Now Streamweaver now is now incorporated into the product and is available out of the box and is part of intelligent integrations. So you can see on the left hand side we bring in networks, application infrastructure, and everything can be brought in to the Helix using Helix integrations. Okay. It's a very, very powerful tool, and again it brings in events, topology, and metrics. So you no longer have to do customized um, coding. We have this out of the box. So if you look on this next slide, you'll see this is just an example of the out of the box connectors. There are so many on this page I couldn't list them. So what I've done is I've just given you a brief summary of what we have today. But on the bottom right hand side you should go to the BMC documentation, and this list is extensive and it's growing. As customers are coming to us and say, look, we want this out of the box capability, we're building that into the product, and you should see it. So again, if you remember back in the previous slides, this is the inbound. This is where you're deciding about your inbound integrations into the BHOM and AIOPs platform, whether that's SaaS or on-prem. Now, if you look on the outbound, this is the outbound, and you'll see here that so we've always had incident management. We've always been able to raise incidents from TrueSight into ITSM as an example, or even into our competitors' incident management tools. But what we've got now is an intelligent automation. Its ability to integrate into other orchestration tools. Ansible Tower as an example. We have customers now who are actually integrating into existing Ansible towers and to do some automation tasks. So this is the outbound. As I mentioned earlier, we have the inbound and we have the outbound, and you will be able to see what you can do with the. So it's very, very key that the outbound automation tasks can be created. Some of them can be run semi-automatically, some of them can be run for automation as and when. But on this particular slide, it's policy driven. It's an automation broker. It identifies automation opportunities, so it's learning. It's learning what's going on. Again, going back to the machine learning, it's understanding, has this problem occurred before? Oh yeah, it has. Okay, what's the automation I need to run on it? So you can build that knowledge into the product as you're going forward, and it will continuously detect infrastructure and activity, and it's a very, very powerful feature within the Helix platform. And again, at the bottom I've included a link for you, but you can see here this is the outbound integrations. Now for the TrueSight synthetic migrations, some of our customers are still using what was the TMR product, it's now called the TrueSight AVM, or the end user experience management feature of that TSAVM. Now this was really the synthetic. Now Micro Focus have actually made a point of going end of life. So what we've built is a few scenarios to our customers. So you'll see on here on number one, if you have TrueSight synthetic transactions today, then BMC have set up a partnership. You may have seen it in the news with Catchpoint. We've built intelligent integration into Catchpoint. Again, you'll see we're using intelligent integration to bring in other data sources, but we're integrating it very tightly within the product. Now, Catchpoint is SaaS only. Now, the key here is we have seen customers, although it's SaaS, have actually been able to and happily been able to utilize that and connect it back into an on-prem environment. But it is SaaS based, okay. But and so it does give you the option. Now, if you're using, you can continue to use your current TSAVM or the EUEM product, and that we've integrated into BHOM. and we've got a slightly reduced platform where we can remove the TSOM component, which would remove the Sybase Oracle database. But it's only really a temporary solution until the end of life of 2024, as you can see when Microsoft removed the support. But if you want to stage it, we can integrate the existing TrueSight EUM into BHOM. But obviously this would be a sort of a temporary until you decided which way to go. Now, if you're going on to, if you're deciding, well, actually, well, what are BMC doing for on-prem customers only? Well, we are building a new KM. It's based on Selenium. It will be it's already available, and we're actually working in conjunction with our customers for them to get access to this, so they can start to utilize it. Now, it'll built-in phases as we go through this financial year, but you'll see this as you go forward. It won't be as comprehensive as something as Catchpoint, but it may do a lot of customers all they need to do for EUM. Now, if you're using Citrix, if you're using the Citrix application monitoring, then that's become end of life, and BMC have no plans to replace the Silk Citrix feature in the short term. Now, if you are existing EUM customer and you have execution scripts, then please contact us, because we have an ability to be able to convert them to Catchpoint with the straight away. And if you have them, you please contact the SEAL team or the product management, and we'll help discuss that with you, how that can be facilitated. Now, as we move into coming to the sort of heading towards the conclusion, if you remember earlier, I talked about the reference architecture. So day one is really the build and validate. This is how you joining the dots. How do things connect? So what we did is we built a reference architecture document. And again, we have this for ITSM as well. So if you're interested in ITSM, please again contact us. But what we here you'll see is really just for on-prem customers. You can see how the architecture is put together, the components, the IMS, the identity management system, how what is the data lake, all of the features around Kafka, Mini IO, etc. are all basically put into this document. Okay. So let me just look a bit more detail, and as you see on the left-hand side, you'll see reference architecture. Then we talk about the architecture around deployment scenarios underneath. But on the right-hand side, as I mentioned very earlier on, is that you have use cases. So you can see in here the use cases around data ingestion. You might decide to bring patrol agents in or third party. You may even want to bring in TrueSight directly connected through intelligent integrations into AIOPs. And we have dashboards as examples. So these are the use cases, and you'll be able to use these as part of your deployment. So let's look at the consume and operate. So this is the final piece of the jigsaw. Is we built in granular detail information of how is this particular use case. This is outcome-based automated event analytics. Okay, how does it work? What are the components we're using? And if we wanted to implement it, where would I go? But you can see, this is just one example of the documentation. So we're trying to build, and we have successfully built a number of, example use cases in here, but also to help our customers facilitate the delivering Helix in a successful manner, either on-prem or on SaaS. So just going back to the conclusion going to the conclusion, success comes with good planning. Utilize the tools you've got. The tools can be run offline. You don't need to worry about impacting your production systems. You can take copies of the information, play around with the data, understand the data, and if you've got any questions, then please reach out to BMC. Now, just to put this in a graphical format, as you'll see here, that what we have is the day zero, the plan and prepare. So we have the plan and prepare section where you're looking at your planning your migration, you're evaluating your current. Okay, you're understanding what is it we've got, what is it we want to do. Okay, you're running the Helix, yes, you're running the TrueSight health checks, should I say. Now, when we move on to the next phase, you're then working in the build and validate. So this is where you're doing your monitor migrations, your event migrations. You're also doing your intelligent integrations, your structured or unstructured data. You're integrating, deciding your third party integrations, or even the BMC direct integrations from other products that we have. And then you have the intelligent automation, as I mentioned earlier. This is the automated analytics capability. It's based on decision-based automation, very, very powerful. And so that's your build and validate. And then when you move into the next, just the final phase, you'll be doing your day two, which is your consume and operate. And what you'll see there previously is that as we now decided to move, we then retired and removed the true site operations management out of the architecture. So today, really, I've just tried to give you an overview of what a migration would look like, the tooling we've got. If you do have any questions, then we're more than happy to answer them. And I really thank you for listening today, and appreciate all the assistance that we've had from the R&D organisation, product management, the services organisation, and especially our customers who've provided us with information to help us build and enhance our tooling as we go forward. So I say thank you.